Don't worry, just like I promised you, I'm only having one drink.
Imagine you're sitting at home one night in the 1970s flipping channels, and suddenly you see him, the king of cool, Dean Martin. He's swaying on stage, glass in hand, words all slurred, eyes half closed, singing like he's 3 sheets to the wind. You laugh because it's funny, it's charming, it's Dean being Dean. But then something shifts. His smile cracks just a little. His voice catches. And for one heartbreaking second you realize he's not acting anymore. This isn't the joke. This is a man who lost his son and is trying to drink the pain away on live television. The audience goes quiet. The band keeps playing softer. And millions of people at home feel their hearts break for a legend who once had the world in his pocket. What you're watching is the saddest, most real moment Dean Martin ever gave us. Let me take you all the way back to the beginning, because Dean Martin's story doesn't start in Hollywood lights. It starts in dirt-poor Steubenville, Ohio on June 7, 1917. His real name was Dino Paul Crocetti, and he was born in a tiny 2-room apartment above a shoe repair shop. His Italian parents, Gaetano and Angela, had nothing. His dad cut hair 12 hours a day for $18 a week. His mom cleaned other people's houses and took in washing just to keep the lights on. There was no bathroom inside. They shared an outhouse in the backyard with 3 other families. Little Dino didn't even speak English until he was 5 years old. At school, kids laughed at his accent so bad that his older brother had to sit in class with him just to translate. By the time he was 13, Dino had enough. He quit school in 10th grade and told his mom, "I gotta bring money home." And that's exactly what he did. At night, he ran bootleg whiskey across the Ohio River for 50 cents a run. At 14, he collected gambling bets from steelworkers who lost their whole paycheck in one weekend. He shined shoes, pumped gas, delivered papers before the sun came up. And when he was 15, he lied about his age to work the night shift at the steel mill. His hands were burned, his back hurt all the time, and he was always tired. That's why years later his favorite saying became "easy does it." He'd already lived the hard way and he was done with it. But surviving wasn't enough. At 15, he started boxing underground as Kid Crochet. Bare knuckles, no headgear, no mercy. He fought 36 times, won 25, and every single fight left a mark. His nose got broken and stayed crooked forever. His knuckles shattered and never healed right. One night in 1936, when he was 19, a dirty punch to the back of the head dropped him cold. He stopped breathing. It took 5 full minutes to bring him back. When he woke up, he was throwing up blood and couldn't remember his own name. The doctor told him one more hit like that and he'd be dead. The hospital bill was $470, money his family didn't have. That was the last fight. From that day on, Dino decided he'd make his living with his voice instead of his fists. By 17, he was singing in smoky back rooms while dealing blackjack for the mob. He worked the roulette wheel until 4 in the morning at a place that got raided by the feds twice. Both times he ran out the back door and kept going. When things got slow, he'd grab the mic and sing to calm down the angry gamblers. People loved his voice, smooth, warm, like he didn't have a care in the world. In 1940, a band leader changed his name to Dean Martin because it sounded more American. And just like that, Dino Crocetti disappeared and Dean Martin was born. He married his first wife Betty in 1941 and they had 4 beautiful kids, Craig, Claudia, Gail, and Diana. But Dean was always on the road singing, and the marriage fell apart by 1949. That same year, he married Jan, and they had 3 more children, Dean Paul Jr., Richie, and Gina. Jean stayed with him for 24 years, even when the whole world knew about his other women. When they divorced in 1973, she never married again. She said Dean was the only man she ever loved. Then came the night that changed everything. July 25th, 1946, Atlantic City. Dean was singing at a little club when another act canceled. A wild young comedian named Jerry Lewis was there too. They decided to go on stage together and make something up. Dean sang smooth and sexy. Jerry ran around like a crazy kid, interrupting, making faces, falling over. The crowd screamed so loud the walls shook. Within weeks, they were the hottest act in America. Hollywood called. They made 16 movies together in 7 years and earned millions. Dean sang "That's Amore" in one of them, and it became one of the biggest songs of all time. But Jerry wanted to be the star. He got louder and bossier. Dean got quiet and tired of it. On July 24, 1956, exactly 10 years after they started, they broke up forever. Most people thought Dean was finished. They were wrong. Just months earlier, he had recorded a little song called "Memories Are Made of This." It went to #1 and stayed there for 5 weeks. Then came Everybody Loves Somebody in 1964, the week it knocked the Beatles off the top of the charts. Dean just smiled and said the Beatles must have needed a coffee break. He signed with Frank Sinatra's record company and made album after album of the smoothest music you ever heard. He starred in Rio Bravo with John Wayne and finally got respect as a real actor, not just a singer. He made 4 Matt Helms spy movies that were huge hits. He had his own TV show for 9 years where he never rehearsed, he just walked on stage with a glass of apple juice pretending to be drunk, and America fell in love with the joke. But the joke stopped being funny in 1987. His son Dean Paul Jr. Dino was a pilot in the California Air National Guard. On March 21, 1987, he took off in an F-4 Phantom jet for a normal training flight. A sudden snowstorm hit. The plane crashed into a mountain at 400 miles per hour. Both Dino and his weapons officer died instantly. It took 6 days to even find the wreckage. Dean was completely destroyed. The man who always smiled, who always said, "Easy does it," who never let the world see him hurt. He broke. That's when the drinking became real. Before, it had always been apple juice in the glass. His kids said it, Jerry Lewis said it, everyone close to him said it. The drunk act was just an act. But after Dino died, Dean started drinking for real. Heavy. Every day. He canceled shows. He stopped golfing. He barely left the house. Frank Sinatra and Sammy Davis Jr. begged him to go on tour with them in 1988. He tried. He lasted 1 week and walked away. He told friends he was just waiting to die. In 1993, doctors found lung cancer. They said surgery could give him years. Dean said no. No surgery, no treatment, nothing. He quit smoking after 60 years, but it was too late. On Christmas morning, December 25, 1995, at 3:30 a.m., Dean Martin took his last breath in his Beverly Hills home. He was 78 years old. The Las Vegas Strip turned off its lights for him. Frank Sinatra cried and called him his brother. Jerry Lewis cried and said he lost the best friend he ever had. And that live TV moment you're thinking of, Theone, where he could barely stand, where his eyes were red and his words didn't make sense anymore, that wasn't the funny drunk. Dean from the 60s and 70s, that was a heartbroken father who missed his boy so much he couldn't go on pretending anymore. Dean Martin spent his whole life making it look easy. He survived poverty, boxing rings, mob clubs, Hollywood pressure, heartbreak after heartbreak, and he did it all with a smile and a song. But in the end, even the king of cool couldn't smile his way through losing his son. That's the real Dean Martin, not the joke, not the act. Just a man who loved his kids more than anything, and when one of them was gone, part of him went too. If this story touched your heart the way it touches mine every single time I tell it, please hit that like button right now. Share this video with someone who grew up loving Dean Martin. They need to know the truth behind the smile. And subscribe and turn on notifications because I'm bringing you more stories about the real people behind the legends. Dean is gone, but his music and his heart will live forever. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.